Hello everyone. Today you're going to practice your exponents problems. The way I'd like for you to do this is for each problem, I want you to write the problem, pause the video, you work it out, and then play the video to check your work. Then you'll write the next problem, pause the video, you work it out, and then watch the video to check your work. You have 6 problems that I'd like for you to do this way. So number 1, I want you to simplify 12m to the 3rd power over 24m to the 7th power. Pause the video, work it out. Now that you've worked it out, let's see how you did. So first, I don't see any parentheses, so I'm going to start by simplifying 12 over 24. And the way we do that is we see what will divide, the biggest number that will divide into both of those. And in this case, the biggest number that will go into both of those evenly is 12. 12 divided by 12 is 1. 24 divided by 12 is 2. Now let's take a look at our m's. I notice I have more m's on the bottom. How many more? 7 take away 3 is 4. So your final answer should be 1 over 2m to the 4th power. Number 2. I'd like for you to simplify 52x to the 6th power over 13x to the negative 7th power. Pause the video, work the problem. Now that you've worked it, let's check it. So the first thing I see I need to do is simplify 52 over 13. And I happen to know that 13 times 4 gives me 52. So I'm going to divide both of these by 13. 52 divided by 13 is 4. 13 divided by 13 is 1. Now I'm going to simplify my x's. So I notice I have a negative exponent on the bottom, so I need to move that to the top. And that becomes positive. And now I just combine those. So my answer is 4x to the 13th power. I don't have to put over 1 because that gives me the same answer. So you should have gotten 4x to the 13th power. Number 3, I want you to simplify 2x to the 4th, y to the negative 4th, z to the negative 3rd over 3x to the 2nd, y to the negative 3rd, z to the 4th. So first, let's start with our 2/3. Is there anything I can do to simplify that? No, so I'll leave that as 2/3. Now let's take a look at our x's. I notice I have 4 on top, 2 on bottom. Where do I have more? On the top. How many more? 4 minus 2 is 2. Now let's take a look at our y's. And what I'm actually going to do, I know I didn't do this yesterday, but let's go ahead and, let's focus on one letter at a time. So now I notice I have negative exponents for both. So I'm going to have to flip. The y to the negative 4th is going to go to the bottom, and the y to the negative 3rd will go on top to make it positive. Let's go ahead and finish our y's. Where do we have now more y's? On the bottom. How many more? Well, 4 take away 3 is 1. So I'm just going to leave the 1y here on bottom. Now let's focus on the z's. And the first thing I notice is I have a negative exponent on top, so I'm going to move that to the bottom. So now I have z to the 4th and z to the 3rd on the bottom. Well, that's just the product rule, so I'll combine those. 4 plus 3 is 7. So your final answer should be 2x squared over 3y z to the 7th. Number 4. Let's simplify 3x to the 3rd, y to the negative 1, z to the negative 1 over x to the negative 4, y to the 0, z to the 0. Pause the video, simplify your problem. Now let's check and see how you did. So first, looking at our coefficients or our big numbers up front, I don't need to simplify anything because the 3 just goes on top. The 3 just goes on the top. There's nothing on the bottom. Now let's take a look at our x's. I have x to the third on top and x to the negative fourth on bottom. So that x to the third stays on top, but that x to the negative fourth comes up top. Well, let's finish simplifying these. If I have 3 and 4, that's the product rule. I keep the base, add the exponents. So what is 3 plus 4? 7. So my x is to the 7th power. Now let's look at the y's. I have y to the negative first on the top and y to the 0 on the bottom. I like this one because, think about it. I have to move that y to the negative first on the bottom, but what is y to the 0 power? It's 1. So I can just move that y to the first on the bottom, and that y to the 0 power becomes 1, so I'm done. That's the same thing that's going to happen with our z's. I see that z to the negative first needs to come down to the bottom to become z to the first, but z to the 0 power is 1, so I'm finished. So my final answer is 3x to the 7th over yz. All right, number 5. I want you to simplify 2m squared in parentheses to the negative first power over m squared, or m to the second power. Pause the video, simplify this. Now let's see how you did. Now that we have parentheses, remember that's the first thing we need to do. So this becomes 2m to the, keep the base, multiply the exponents. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2 over m to the second power. So now let's simplify the way we know. Do I need to simplify the 2? No, there's nothing to reduce with. There's no number on the bottom, so I just write the 2. Now look at your m's. For the m's, I have m to the second power up top and m to the negative second up top and m to the second on the bottom. So that means that m to the negative 2 power has to move down here. Well, what does that simplify to? Keep the base, add the exponents, so m to the 4th power. So give yourself a check if you got 2 over m to the 4th power. Take a look at number 6. 4m to the negative second power over 10 times m to the negative second power to the 3rd power times m squared. Pause your video, simplify this, and then play the video to check it. So now that you've done your problem, I want you to check it. So I'm not going to do anything to the top just yet. Just leave that alone. So on the bottom, the first thing I notice is I can do the power rule right here. So that means keep the base, multiply the exponents. Negative 2 times positive 3 is negative 6. The next thing I notice is I've got some negative exponents I can flip. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to come down here. I'm going to keep it going down here. 4 over 10. So m to the negative second power comes to the bottom to make it m to the second. M to the negative 6 goes to the top to make it m to the 6th. See how that flipped? And don't forget, you also have this extra m to the second. So I'm going to go ahead and simplify this right here. So that leaves me with 4m to the 6th on top. 10 m to the second times m to the second is m to the 4th. I'm going to tell you something else. Let's go ahead and finish with our m's. But what did I forget to do? And it's okay that we didn't do it first. I mean, we're still going to get the right answer. I forgot to reduce that top. So we'll come back and do that after we finish with our m's. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it 4 over 10 for now. So now, where do I have more m's? I have on the top more. How many more? 2. But remember, I still haven't simplified the 4 over 10, and that both of those can be divided by 2, so let's do that. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and I've still got m to the second power up there. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So you should have gotten 2m squared over 5. So here's what I want you to understand. Whenever you are working with exponent problems, just take it a step at a time. Do what you can. Do what you can until you can't use any more rules, and that's how you simplify your answers.